We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit, says Aristotle. Hello there, you're welcome to the channel. This is the first episode of our reading challenge for 2023, and today I am going to be sharing with you part 1 of a 4-part series of the book we are reading, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Kindly subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and every week I'll come to your screen and make a part summary of our book of the month. Now let's get into part 1 of this incredible book we are reading. You have probably at some point been in a class or a conference where the facilitator comes to the class and projects a picture on the board and then asks half of the class, what do you see? And then they shout that we see an old woman. He asks another half of the class, what do you see? And they tell him that we see a beautiful woman, and an argument breaks out in the class. Others will say, how could you possibly say this picture is an old woman? Others will say, this is such a young woman, how would you say this? And then an argument breaks up in class, and until the supervisor or the facilitator intervenes, people get into such a heated argument. And this is what the book starts talking about. It says that each of us tends to think we see things as they are and that we are objective, but this is not the case. We see the world not as it is, but as we are, or as we are conditioned to see it. The author says that each of us walk around with maps in our heads, and mostly these maps are usually categorized in 2 different ways. Maps of the way things are, or our realities, or maps of the way things should be. And so we interpret everything we see based on these maps. We usually don't even stop to question the accuracy of these things, and sometimes we are not even aware of these maps or these attitudes or these behaviors that we have in our heads. And so we go around thinking, or we see things like the way we see things, we assume that that is how they are, or that is how things should be. We never question whether the things we see daily are actually accurate or not. And so the author says that we need a new paradigm. We need a paradigm shift, because if 10 seconds of just looking at a picture makes us question everything and start arguing with our friends, we start questioning even their ability to see. Look at a picture where it's like, depending on where you are sitting, you see a different thing. You argue with your friends that, can't you see? Don't you have eyes to know that this is a young lady? The other person argues with you and tells you that, don't you have eyes to see that this is an old woman? And so if 10 seconds of just looking at a picture can impact our lives, imagine our whole life of conditioning. Imagine where we grew up, how it impacts us, our environments, our schools, our work environments, our churches, our associates, people we associate with. All of these people, or all of these places we have been, have had impacts on our lives, and we never stop to actually question whether these environments or these experiences we have or these beliefs we have are actually the truth or not. And so sometimes you see people say you are what you eat, you are what you watch, you are what you read, because the things you are surrounded with shapes your identity. Sometimes, let's say if you are a Christian, you see the world through the lens of Christianity. If you are somebody who believes in a family system, you see the world to be in such a group of families or something. So we see the world based on what we have been conditioned to see, whether they are accurate or not. That is just how we have been conditioned. And so you need a mindset shift. You need a paradigm shift to be able to change the way things should be, or to be able to learn to know how accurate things should be. Remember, the book we are talking about today is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And so the author goes ahead to talk about effectiveness by sharing this fable. One day, a farmer goes to his pet nest and finds that his goose had laid a golden egg. He couldn't believe it. He thought someone had tricked him or something. So he picked the egg to go for somebody to appraise it, and he found out that it was pure gold. He was so excited, and then he went to sell it, and he had so much money. So the next morning he comes again and he finds out that there's another golden egg again. And so day after day he kept coming back, and he was always eager for the day to break for him to come. And so each day he kept coming, and he found golden egg, and he became very rich. And the richness came with greed and impatience. So one day he was like, no, why don't I just kill this goose and get all the eggs at once so that I'll be more wealthier? Unfortunately, when he killed it, he found out that there was no egg, and there was no way he could put it back together to find egg another day. And that was how he lost everything. And so he says that most people usually see effectiveness, even looking at this golden egg paradigm, as the more you produce, the more you do, the more you become effective. But actually, true effectiveness is a function of two things. What is produced, that is the golden egg, and then the capacity to produce, or the asset that produces it, and that is the goose. I find this story of the farmer with his golden egg and the goose really fascinating, and I think it can be applied to all areas of our lives. Let's say in friendships, if you have a friend where there are times where you go and have fun times and hang out, you are supposed to have done something that kept the relationship, that made you get to a point where you can go out and have fun. And so if you have a friend where you don't call them, there's nothing, you are not putting in any effort for the friendship to function, then you wouldn't have time where you have fun times with them. Same with romantic relationships. If you want to have a romantic relationship, then there are certain things that must be done. There must be commitment, sometimes there might be compromise, there must be communication, and so you have to do something for something to come out, and that is effectiveness that he's trying to explain. This can be applied in our finances. If you want to earn more, you have to keep improving yourself and keep improving your earning capacity. And so with effectiveness, there has to be a balance. One, you have to look at the golden eggs. That is what is producing your wealth. So you have to take care of the golden eggs, or to ensure that the eggs are coming, but you have to do that by taking care of the goose which produces the eggs. And so if you want to have good friendships, then you have to do the things that ensures there's a good friendship, maybe communication and those things. I really have learned so much from this book already, and next week we are going to get into the details of the book. It says the 7 habits of highly effective people. And so for the next part, we are going to be reading the first 3 habits. And I've gone ahead to read the first habit already, and I have learned so much from it. And so if you haven't started reading this incredible book, the 7 habits of highly effective people, I think you should start reading it. So subscribe to the channel, share this episode with others, and next week I come with more, and we'll delve deep and more deeper into the book already. If you have started reading the book, what have you learned from this? Leave a comment in the comment section. Stay safe and bye.